Problems facing Elizabeth I when she became Queen, with Mr. Thomas. Elizabeth I became Queen of England in 1558 after the death of her Catholic half-sister Mary I. Elizabeth inherited a country divided against itself and beset with problems both home and abroad. This is going to be a quick rundown of the problems faced by Elizabeth when she took the throne, so here we go. Our first problem was that she was young. Elizabeth became monarch despite being well educated in arts and language at the age of just 21. She did not have the experience that many other monarchs had. Her second problem was that England was broke. She inherited a country deep in debt, owing around £300,000 with an annual income of around £286,000. Over a third of this debt was owed to foreign moneylenders with high interest rates. The Crown could have collected large rents from the land it owned, but Mary I sold some of the land and thus the total rents fell. Monarchs need money. Without the money, their support fails and she could have been deposed, so this was a crucial problem that she needed to solve. Her third problem was her legitimacy. Elizabeth was seen as illegitimate in the eyes of Catholics. Her father, Henry VIII, had married Anne Boleyn after divorcing Catherine of Aragon. Divorce is forbidden in the Catholic Church, so Catholics did not recognise a second marriage, meaning that Elizabeth was born out of wedlock. Therefore, she could not become Queen. The rightful Queen, according to Catholics, should have been Mary, Queen of Scots, but she is a story for another time. Her fourth problem was religion. England had been passed backwards and forwards between Protestantism and Catholicism from the reign of Henry VIII to Protestantism under Edward, to Catholicism under Mary, and then back to Protestantism under Elizabeth. When Elizabeth became Queen, she needed to settle the religious problems between Catholics and Protestants, as with Mary, Queen of Scots. This is a story for later. One other problem was her gender. It may have escaped your notice with all of the religion and financial problems, but Elizabeth was a woman. England had been ruled by a queen before, and that had ended with Protestants being tied to the stake and burned, and a lost and expensive war with France, so expectations were not great. Elizabeth was expected to marry in order to provide strong leadership. She did not wish to do this as her power would have been reduced. It is also worth pointing out at this time women were seen as weak-willed and incapable of running pretty much anything. Her last major problem were threats from France and Spain. England, as a Protestant nation, was facing foreign threats from Catholic France and Spain. Spain was the most powerful nation on earth and would be a nation which eventually declares war on England. The relationship probably wasn't helped by Elizabeth refusing to marry Philip II of Spain, even though he had been married to her sister Mary, and Elizabeth's eventual meddling in the Netherlands. So to review. Elizabeth became Queen in 1558. She faced a number of problems, chiefly among them were she was young, there was financial weakness, her legitimacy, her religion, her gender, and threats from abroad. So there we have it, a little bit of history. You can find out more by listening to the podcast named Podpast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and by joining in the conversation on Twitter. This is the first video created in this style, at the request of some of my wonderful Year 11 students that I teach, so I hope this has met with your exacting and demanding standards.